and I don't know why. It's just
Right.
the Monday thing to do. Is
Well,
complain.
right, yeah. It's like every Sunday I always have to remind myself that the next day is Monday and we have a show.
I know, and it's like so weird because like I'll be all into it, and then I'll be like,
Uh-huh.
nah.
Right. Well,
And then
I mean, yeah, it's it's just look, it's just a thing that we do. That's pretty much,
it's the thing.
you know.
It
Um,
is stupid cold. My joints hurt.
uh-huh.
I am high as fuck. And yeah,
Well, you have to
yeah.
start the day correctly.
Mm.
Right. Oh, okay, good. So it is working
Waking
on
and
Facebook.
bacon. Oh, it
Right.
is?
Yeah, it's working on
Weird.
Facebook. So it's like, I don't know, like for as much as I had I had been saying that I've been staying off social media, which I have, I don't know, I felt kind of bad not doing more for Facebook.
Well,
I
no,
don't know.
you absolutely need to because you have a pretty decent following on Facebook. You need
Right.
to grow that and feed that, you know?
Yeah, so it's like, so I'm gonna start slowly bringing Facebook
Put
back
put put the
without.
bowl outside for the strays, you
That's
know?
true. Yeah.
Just
So that's why I
it's
figured,
cold, feed them.
yeah, yeah, if it's cold outside, if it's cold outside, bring them in or something.
No, don't
Oh,
bring the
how
bitches in. Leave
right,
them
yeah,
motherfuckers on the porch, but throw them
right.
some food. We don't need them coming in and affecting the house cats.
Right, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so I figure it's like, you know what? Like I said, I had the extra slot for either Twitch or Facebook. Oh my god.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did. You had
Ah,
the extra slot. Let's go.
right. For either Facebook or Twitch, and I figured Facebook was the better option of the two.
Absolutely,
So,
because
um,
I'll get you banned from Twitch. I'm
right.
sorry.
So if you're watching from Facebook, welcome. I think it's yeah. So I think it's running. Yeah, it's yeah. So it's not, because I remember we used to have the problem with it being private, but no, it seems to be working
It's
normally.
running. Yeah.
Yeah, it's running.
Wow, that
It's
really
running.
fucking pisses me off. Ah!
I mean, yeah, for the amount of money that you were spending for the other account,
Oh Jesus. Okay.
Uh,
All right. So we are either going to start this show or I'm
yeah,
going to
let's
just
do
kill
that. Let's do
myself.
that. Right.
Good.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It is February 23rd, 2026, and this is the Ragin to the vlogs. Yeah. You ready?
Absolutely not, but hit it.
Ta-da-da-da. All right. Where's the fucking card? Okay, yeah. I
Yeah,
hate
there we go.
this
There we go.
shit.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
Oh, and before we forget,
Valar Morghulis. Yes, all men must die. But we are not men.
Bish, Daphne.
What?
Daphne.
What?
Are you watching A Night of the Seven Kingdoms?
No, I am not.
Ma'am, you need to. The episodes are only 30 minutes. You have plenty of time to jump in and get caught up in one fucking little short
Right.
binge session. I totally suggest you do
Right.
because it's Game of Thrones, but different.
But different.
But different. And it's like, yeah, dude, totally.
Right.
Really
I
get,
don't know.
like,
You
go
see,
check this one out.
I mean, I don't know, because even Jose was asking. It's like, he's like, "Oh, don't you want to watch this?" And it's like,
No, you do.
I
I think you do.
Oh,
I
right.
don't see you regretting this.
Right. Okay. Because I am familiar with the story already. Because years ago there was a trade paperback. There was a graphic novel released of that story, The Hedge Knight. Right. And I kind of don't remember it. I do, but I don't. And it's like, and the funny thing about Game of Thrones is that it's a fan. Oh, I guess it it related to funnily related to the topic that we'll get into in a minute. That it the Game of Thrones screamed something that I should have enjoyed,
It
but
did.
I never could get into it, no matter how many times I tried to watch it.
Because you I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It was something that touched right for me
Right.
at first, and then it
Right.
kind of fell off like shortly after the Battle of the
Right.
Bastards.
And goddamn, do I hate Jon Snow?
Oh yeah. But
but before we get into it,
oh yeah.
yeah. So who's joining us in the chat today?
The people.
The peoples. But who
Peoples.
Who
The
are
peoples.
the peoples?
We got the ninja
Oh,
and
hello,
Mr.
hello,
Boo
hello. Good morning.
and
Good morning.
hi.
Yes, and these are all so obviously these are all new people who come in because of the vertical. And welcome to our show, the Ragin to the Vlogs show, which is a show about us talking about random shit and maybe some indie comic stuff as well in the
Perhaps.
in between that. Oh my goodness. And so yes, it's just that. And no, because I'm very distracted by all of the eyeball people. We have so many extra eyeball people watching us from regions beyond. If you are watching us from Facebook, welcome. I'm trying to do that again. However, if you want to really converse with us in real time, the easiest way to do that is to come to YouTube and subscribe there and join, come to YouTube, join the sexy people in the chat, keep them company. Because in the past, we've had a lot of connectivity issues with Facebook. So we may or may not be able to see your comments. Hopefully, a lot of the glitches that we experienced for a while are kind of like not an issue anymore, because even the fact that I'm on camera without having to use OBS is a glitch that I am so glad is finally seems to have like sorted itself out on Streamyard. So, hopefully like other glitches kind of like work itself out too. But I guess for everybody who is who's been here before and know who we are, welcome. And for those of you who are new here, hello everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I am the artist for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales. If Nita can find the card.
I'm trying. Okay, there we go.
There we go. And I am the artist for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales, and the creator of Egoraven, Heir the First Unicorn, a medieval fantasy drama you can read online at egoworks.com. That's EGOWORKS, and is currently now on pre-launch on Kickstarter at egoraven.com. EGORAVEN. Link is in the show notes and in the description box below as well. I'm scheduled. The book is done. It's at the printer for proofing. I'm hopefully. Well, actually, no. I am scheduled to launch in March. The only thing I don't know is when I'm going to launch in March. I just know it's going to launch in March. So make sure that you hit that notify me button on the pre-launch page, so you get an email from Kickstarter telling you telling you that the campaign is live, so you don't miss anything, because I have a nice early bird special available for only the first 48 hours, and I don't want anybody to miss that. So that's it for me. On to my co-host, Nita.
Yeah, I'm Nita. I just do things.
And
yeah,
keeps an eye on that. Keep them from acting up.
I don't even know. Like, I don't know how to I'm nobody. I'm Nita. I market comics. I edit. I do shit.
Right.
I do the things.
You do all the things. So so back to Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Right. So Game of Thrones. Yeah. So Game of Thrones was always this thing that I really, really wanted to like. I really did. But Yeah, it's like I don't remember really making it past the first season, and even then, I don't remember like watching the first season enough. And then of course, Jose was watching it, so I would either hear it in the background, I would catch like bits and pieces of it. And it's like, yeah, there were certain compelling things that would catch my attention, but like the Battle of the Bastards, right? That's a
Right.
really good episode. The Long Night, that's a really good episode, right?
Right.
But overall, it really wasn't a series that actually captivated me. And it's the same thing, like House of Dragon had a little bit more going for it, but even then I still found myself not really that committed to it.
Right.
Like I liked the aesthetic of the Targaryens. Yeah, the Targaryens.
Oh, I do too, especially Rhaenyra. Yes, ma'am.
I mean, yes, they were, and the thing is, like, this is, I really appreciate, hey Lou, I really appreciated how in House of the Dragon, they
Everybody wants to know real quick why I don't show my face, because I don't want to, and my room is dirty.
Right.
Because I am hiding my white trashiness today.
Right. Well, yeah, you see, it's like Nita is in between offices.
I really am.
Yeah, like she had a really, really nice office that she decided to like fix up, and we all know how that goes with renovation. You pull everything apart, and then all of a sudden you don't have the energy to put it back together again.
Right. So pardon my progress.
Right. Yes.
And good morning, Luke.
Under construction.
It is under construction.
Yes. So the thing that I really appreciated about the Targaryens, right, is the way in House of Dragons, because the Targaryens are supposed to be like inbred as fuck, and they're supposed to be kind of like the fantasy version of the Habsburgs.
They are.
And the thing is, like, in the in the main Game of Thrones series, they kind of went with this trope that I really, really hated, is how inbreeding only causes weird hair, and mental,
I know, but in the books, it's not like that. The twins were severely deformed.
Right.
Rhaenyra gave birth to a fucking demonic fucking half dragon, half something.
Right. Where it's like probably monster. They look more like, do you remember that episode of the X-Files with the Peacock family?
Yeah.
Right. So the Targaryens are supposed to be kind of like more like that. Well, like I said, they're more like the Habsburgs, if you want like an actual historic reference for them. And I think that, so it annoyed me that in the main Game of Thrones series, like I said, it's kind of like,
they made them all fuckable.
Right. It's like, it's all inbreeding, you just get white hair and you're kind of a little loony, right?
White hair, and we don't even get the lavender eyes because actors nowadays bitch about contacts.
But in House of the Dragon, I really, really appreciated how whoever cast the show made all the Targaryens look weird.
Good morning, Michael.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Like they looked physically weird. Like you look at them, like they still kind of like looked hot, but they were weird.
Yeah, looking. Like so you still got into it, kind of like the monster fucking thing, but not because of their sheer beauty. It was intrigue.
Like that's the thing. Like
you're magical.
Like
dragon lord.
There was something else going on here. That it's like, oh yeah, you guys got scrambled chromosomes somewhere. Yeah, that's the one. Home. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, they banned it? I didn't realize.
Yeah, they did.
It was a grimy episode.
Yeah.
That was a grimy ass episode. But like I'm pretty sure it must be on like the collected DVDs or something, I'm
sure.
But
and you can still find it online,
right?
Like,
yeah,
you can find anything online.
Yeah. It's just But so that I appreciated, that there was more like, for a show that kind of prided itself on like having links to actual historical events,
Right.
that they finally linked that.
Yes.
And just even more for historical context, like, inbreeding among royalty was a very common thing back in the day, but the Habsburgs really took it to the next level.
What you mean back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day.
You see them Mountbatten, like what is it? Mountbatten Windsor children?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you see, that's the funny thing, because the Habsburgs took it to such an extreme that even the other inbred royalty families were like, "Well, yo, you're taking this too far."
Yeah.
Because it's like the Windsor family are inbred, but not to the extent that
Papa Daddy didn't
were.
like that shit.
Like they were the ones that really ran with the whole nieces and uncles thing that the Targaryens reference.
Yeah.
Like they really ran with that. And so it's like, so I really appreciate that. But other than that, though, it's like I really had a hard time. I like, if maybe I saw actual 20 minutes of it.
Well, I think the problem they had with Game of Thrones was like I did not find myself attaching to any characters quickly enough. Whereas with House of Dragon, I did.
Right.
Like I really got attached to Rhaenyra real quick, especially in the second season. But like which is fucked, because in the books I was not wild about her. But anyway, I digress. My point about the Night of the Seven Kingdoms is it's a whole new vibe.
Right. Yeah, because
like,
I've heard
it's a lighter, almost comedic version of Game of Thrones. Did you ever see the people that make the honest trailers that do the spoof trailers sometimes?
No.
They did one time called Medieval Funland.
Right.
And they did the voiceovers on Game of Thrones with Joffrey and Tyrion and stuff. But anyway, it was fucking hilarious. And I swear it's almost like they took a cue from being spoofed and came over, and they're not spoofing it because it's still serious, but there's comedic relief, and it's brighter and lighter, and the episodes are shorter, so it's easier to get through,
to digest, I guess. I mean, because that's, you see, because that was kind of like my main issue with Game of Thrones, is how dark it is. Like, it's a dark fantasy, and sometimes I thought that it was really over the top. Okay, Mr. MRB goes, at Night of the Seven Kingdoms is character focused, building on one guy instead of 12 running political stories at the same time.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a calmed down version with great character development. I mean, you have feelings for the characters already. Like by the end of the first episode, I was like, oh my God, I hate the fact that this only comes out once a week.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's because I think that was my main issue, that it's like Game of Thrones was just like one tragedy after another. And it's like, and it's like even the very ending of Game of there was like, it was like the anti Lord of the Rings, where there's no hope. No, everybody sucks. Sure. Your favorite characters suck, and nothing gets better.
It's all about the he said, she said bullshit.
Yeah, no, really. It's and it's like, and I guess that once I realized like that was kind of like the overall arching theme of it, I just kind of like, you know what? Why bother? Right. Like, if it's all going to be all misery anyway, then what am I watching this for? As opposed to like, what happened?
The sex.
It wasn't even enough for me to be that interested in it anyway. It's like, like the things that I like I could watch the Lord of the Rings extended version because we're not heathens here. It's like,
you better only watch the
it's like we watch
version.
Lord of the Rings extended version, and I can watch that like we probably do end up watching that like once a year or something. It's like, at least. Right. And it never gets old. Although there are,
Right.
there are the bits that I like. Oh, I really don't like this one. Like I think.
Oh, you mean the walking? And the walking.
The walking.
And the
Well, no,
walking and
it's like,
talking.
yeah, it's like there's this
And the
bit
walking
when
and the
there
running.
this whole bit with Gollum and Sam and Frodo that it's like it kind of
In
like
the marsh?
there's a part. No,
Girl,
I think that
careful, because this could fuck up our friendship.
No. It's like, no, it's not in the marsh. That's the interesting part.
Okay.
That's the marsh is the interesting part.
Okay, because
there's this particular you know what it is, but then again, I think it's because they were actually successful in getting the mood of that particular scene is when they realize they're spending all this time walking in circles in Mordor.
Right.
And I kind of get really tired at that scene. Like that, I really like. It's one of my least favorite scenes.
War today.
Right.
Yeah, that I just watched that version and then go back.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. But because I think in the end, it's like, yeah, you really do get that sense that you've been walking in circles with them. Right. And then there's that whole beef between Gollum and Sam, and it's like, and it's just like, you know what it is also? It's the whole thing about watching Frodo turn against Sam, and I can't take it. I can't handle it. So it's my least favorite scene.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
The
TV show cut out
fantasy.
It cut out magic. It cut out the story
because it's
of
cheaper.
Caitlin Stark when she becomes the Gray Lady or whatever.
Yeah,
I can't remember what she was called.
Lady Greystone, I think it
Lady
was.
Greystone. Yes, they cut out that story. They minimized other important aspects.
Well, because magic requires money.
Well, you know what?
And the series was expensive enough.
I think they focused on some of the wrong things, but
and also,
but it also would have helped if they'd known how the shit ended, and they still don't. Well, like for real,
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you write according to what Reddit is guessing, and then you're trying to circumvent whatever Reddit. It was
Game of Thrones is the first Full Metal Alchemist. That's how that works, because Full Metal Alchemist did it and they ran before the manga, and it was okay. It was good. You thought it was great even. Okay. But then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood came out, and it's like, what previous show there? This is when I say Full Metal Alchemist, I'm referring to Brotherhood now. I'm not even talking about the first one anymore.
Okay, all right, yeah, because I'm not familiar with that.
We never got our Game of Thrones Brotherhood,
right? Because that's the one. I'll ask Lorraine about that, because that's her jam. But I've never watched that.
Oh my
show.
God, Full Metal's great.
Right.
What are you doing with what anime?
Well, it's like I'm too busy watching the Lord of the Rings extended edition
again. Autism and comfort shows.
Like the other show that I kind of like, I think like after the second season I just petered out, was The Witcher. Like the first season I enjoyed, right? And then it's like the second season, it's kind of like, I don't know, like I kind of like really just lost interest in it as well. And then like by the time
I could not get into it.
Right. And then by the time Netflix was saying how they were going to replace Henry Cavill. Yeah, that's right. You don't F with Samwise. Frodo of the nine fingers.
I knew it was
and the ring of doom. So it's like, and then once Netflix said they were going to replace Henry Cavill with, I don't know, whoever the fuck they did
that other dude
about
that brother.
I just kind of like wiped my hands of it. But what it made me do is read the novels. And the the Witcher novels are significantly better than the series. It's like once I read that first novel, I was like going, this is what everyone's talking about. I never have to watch. I never have to give a shit about the series again. I could just read the novels. Right.
So
this, so like I said, this is a good segue into the topic that I chose for today. Oh, you'll never get Brotherhood because we'll finish the books. Well,
Yeah,
that's
fuck
how it
Martin.
goes, right? So, in our indie comic sphere, right? It's like especially when it comes to Kickstarters, right? There's a complaint that I keep hearing that I think that it falls under the category of people are used to, like, people repeat it without understanding what they're saying. That they just hear other creators repeat it, and then they just repeat it, and they repeat it
It's an
like it's
echo
gospel.
chamber.
Right. But then it's like, is it really? Like, do you even, like, what are you even talking about? Yeah, the world needs a
We do. We
Actually,
do.
no, we don't. The way they
Yes,
make
we
shit
do.
now, the way they make shit now, we don't. By the way, wasn't there a Beastmaster series already that flopped?
There was one that flopped, but it was a long time ago. We didn't have the capabilities we have
Right.
now. Like, that's the thing with these fantasy series. It's like
Yeah.
we're in a position now where we can make them great or we can make them really stupid.
Right. Like, it
Used to be-
it only seems like it goes one or the other
It's one
direction.
extreme or the other. There's
You
no
know,
like
like-
just meh series.
Yeah, and
This
that's the
is like
Yeah.
it's greatness or it's ass.
Right. No, for real. There is no middle ground. There is no, I enjoyed this. No,
Yeah.
it's just like, no, there is none of that. So the word of the day, the secret word of the day is oversaturation.
Oversaturation.
Oversaturation. Yeah, right. And this is a word that, especially, like, I don't know, like, I forgot what show that I was watching, and someone had said that it's like, oh, like, I don't remember if they were talking about the genre or just Kickstarter in general or comics in general, but they were saying, oh, it's oversaturated.
Right.
Right. And, and like I said, people have used that word a lot to, I guess, explain their lack of traction, in doing whatever they're doing. But again, it's a word that people are using without critically thinking about it. And it's like, well, what do you mean by that? It's, because it's like, one of the, like, fantasy comics, if I want to talk more personally, because I have Egoraven coming out next month. Right. On Kickstarter, fantasy comics, I think, is the third largest genre category in comics Kickstarter. I think, like, the first one is I guess, like,
horror?
Not safe. Oh yeah, it's like, it's
horror. This NSFW.
Yeah, the not safe for work
fantasy
books, horror, and then fantasy. Right. And
right.
But the thing is, though, it's like there's a lot, it's like it's very easy to find fantasy books, like it's like it's a really big genre. Like, it's the third largest genre. But the thing is, though, is that I would never call the genre oversaturated. And I've heard people say, it's like, oh, the comics category is oversaturated. Sure. And it's like, what are you even meaning by that? It's like, are you telling me that you're mad because there's competition for putting out a comic? That it's like, yeah, it's like especially during the heaviest months, you can find over 300 comics on Kickstarter available, right? During the I think at its lowest, it goes to like 150. I think, like, either around 100 or 150, right? But it's always around 3 digits. And, so it's like, and it seems like no matter, like, whether it's 300 or 100, there's always people saying, oh, it's oversaturated. Right. And it's like, look, if you
they like to say it's oversaturated because I didn't get wet.
Right. That it's like, that it's like, look, are you in the end just complaining that there's just a lot of competition and you're having problems standing out for some reason? I mean,
good morning, sir.
At least, hello. At least if you said it like that, it would be more honest, because it's like, then it's like, but I think that that's the reason why people say oversaturation instead of saying I'm having a hard time standing out, because saying that a market is oversaturated is you blaming other people
Right.
right? While admitting I'm having a hard time standing out puts the onus back on you.
Right.
But because like as a fan of fantasy comics, right? I can't get enough of that shit.
Right.
So it's like, so who are you really talking about when you say things are oversaturated? Because obviously you selling a comic on Kickstarter, your definition of oversaturated is different from a fan's definition of oversaturated. And even then,
they're still buying books.
Yeah, they're not really saying it's oversaturated. Like the fans, it's not a word that I hear fans talking about. This is a word that the people, like the sellers, and creators are using, but fans are not complaining about this.
Well, of course not.
Because I guess, because it's like watching Game of Thrones or not watching Game of Thrones. Like even though for me, like I said, fantasy is like, that's where I go. It's like, that's my jam. If you really, it's like, that's the easiest way to get me to look in your direction is to do a fantasy. Right. But not all fantasy is equal. And, not all fantasy is going to give me the same thing that I want. But I still don't consider it oversaturated. Instead, like there's this meme that's going around where it's like you have an artist going, oh, what difference does it make? So many other people are making the same thing I am. And then the next panel is a fan going, oh boy, 2 cakes. Like the first one is, a person making 1 cake, and then the fan is like going, oh boy, I have 2 cakes now, like that's not how they look at it. And when it comes to fantasy stuff, that's how I feel. It's like, oh shit, it's like there's so, like I can find what I'm looking for, right? So me not liking Game of Thrones doesn't bother me because I do have Lord of the Rings. And and I have even the Rankin and Bass Lord of the Rings. And I have, and I have the Witcher novels. And I have, like I have so many other options. Like the choice is so large that I am guaranteed to find something that I like. I can hyperfixate on, So it doesn't, like, on a certain way, it does disappoint me that I couldn't get into Game of Thrones. But on the other hand, it's like, well, but I got all these other cakes. I don't like coconut cake, but look at all of these other cakes that I can choose from, So I am,
every time I go to the brothel, I'm the same way.
I love cakes.
I love cakes.
So isn't zeroing in on your audience part of the game, right? And that's and that's like, again, it's like when creators use terminology like this is oversaturated, like I said, I think it's just more of a distraction word rather than them like saying, I don't know who my audience is, I don't know how to stand out. Because again, it's like, it's going back. Imagino says, I have seen some great books overlooked for really based content, though, because the lesser books follow a recent trend. Well, that's in traditional publishing. There's this whole thing about, are you writing for yourself? It's like, or are you writing, are you writing for yourself or are you writing to market? And these are 2 different things. And I think that, and especially with the creator that ended up saying the whole thing about oversaturated, he's saying how he's creating this book for himself, but then he's complaining that the market, like this was a passion project. Let's just use that term. It's like, he's like, oh, this is a passion project for him, right? But then he's trying to shoehorn it into a market where this type of book is not really supported. So, but instead of like, realizing he's fitting a square peg into a triangle hole or whatever, and then complain that it's like, oh, you know, it must be the market, you know, it's, you know, it's whatever. It's, you know, it's like, no, bro, it's like you have something that doesn't, you're putting the wrong lizard in the wrong terrarium, you know, going back to the terrarium analogy, you know, you're putting a tropical lizard into a desert terrarium and then wondering why it's not thriving.
Right.
Right. And the fact that there are 3 desert terrariums doesn't mean that there's an oversaturation of terrariums. It's still not your environment. You know, so, you know, but like I said, as a fan of like fantasy books, like remember the whole, like people were complaining how but there were too many werewolf books for a while?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There was not.
There was not. No. As far as I'm concerned, there wasn't enough werewolf books. Right? But people were complaining, oh, it's like it's a trend and blah blah blah. Now everybody's doing zombies, everybody's doing werewolves and this, that, and the other thing. And I go, and it's like, look, my brother in Christ, if you are not making a book to cater to a trend, that trend doesn't refer to you. You don't get to complain about a trend you are not catering to. You know? I mean, it's like if you're like the whole point of people complaining about, oh, the not safe for work books, that's an oversaturated genre. Well,
yeah.
If you're not catering to that audience, it's not, what are you talking about? You know, it's like if you're not catering to that audience, that genre has nothing to do with you any more than a person writing a fantasy book is complaining about historical fiction is oversaturated. It's like, what are you talking about? That's not even your genre. Why are you looking in that direction? You know, It's like, if you're not catering your book, if you're not writing to market, then how the market is reacting to this certain thing that you're not catering to technically has nothing to do with you. But as a fan, I can't get enough. If it's a genre that I am like into, whether it's werewolves or fantasy werewolves, put them together. You know,
whether it's fucking werewolves or fucking werewolves.
All right. It's like left Twix, right Twix. I can't get enough of it. It can never be, a genre can never be oversaturated, you know, because I have so much choice that it's like, imagine it's kind of like a mumble rap though. There are so many of those people you really even
don't know their name.
You don't even know their name. Well, you know, but and I would still want more. Right. So Melissa's right. Exactly. Like another genre that's considered oversaturated, but again, only to the people selling, not to the fans, is romantasy and monster smut and, you know, those types of books. Right. So it's like they cannot you put one out and people can't get enough of it. Right. Look, in May, I'm going to a convention just specifically for this shit. Every author in there writes monster smut. There is nobody who is going to be walking into that space saying, oh, there's too many of you people. Nobody says that. This is oversaturated. Nobody says that.
Yeah, no.
You know, we go in, it's like we come out with a stack of books, like, you know, right? And it's like, and look, and then it's like, depending on what tropes you're into, it's pretty much all books of the same shit. You know, you're into orcs, there's 5 women writing orc books. You're into werewolves, there's 7 of them. You know, it's like, oh, minotaurs are in. Everybody has a minotaur book. You know? And so, you know, and like I said, nobody talks about oversaturation. Nobody complains about it. But like I said, fans don't complain about it, but it's the sellers that that complain. Whether these, and I had recently read an article. It's a survey. This woman had done a survey of around like 70 authors of the monster smut genre, right? Of the overall. And what she found out, it's 70 authors. Granted, they're pretty much superficially all writing the same shit, right? None of them think the genre is oversaturated. 70 authors. And they're all like going, no. If you need a book written, write it. If there's a type of monster smut book that's missing that you want to see, come right in. The water's great. I mean, that's how they look at it. They don't see each other as competition. They see each other as like they're feeding off of each other. Oh, this person wrote a really popular. Oh, it's like, Morning Glory Milking Farm, right? Set off the entire Minotaur trend. In fantasy smut. Right? Everybody has a Minotaur story. Ice Planet Barbarians did the whole, like trapped on an alien planet, planet hot guy, and it's like, and everybody has their own variation of that, right? Orcs, everyone has like whatever trend pops up, everyone is more than happy to write that book, knowing that 69 other authors are writing this. Oh boy,
I just pulled that number out my ass.
Right? Yeah, I know. It's like, look, because it was 70 authors, so 69 other authors are writing the exact same book. Nobody cares, and like Imagino says, it has everything to do with the fact that every one of these authors, the most important thing that they did was create their audience base. Melissa says, in a world where influencers all peddle the same stuff over and over, I wonder if people just have a hard time believing there are plenty of unique voices out there. Again,
right? That's
it's
just
like,
what Imaginos was saying, like, for real. Like,
well, but that's the thing, though. It's like if you're a fan of a genre, I think that people are very willing to want to, like, okay, you have like your basic tropes, but again, the originality is the voice that you create in. I can create, it's like I can create, like, look, everybody's done a Beauty and the Beast story. I have a Beauty and the Beast story, and guaranteed my version of Beauty and the Beast is going, that people are going to find it different than what everybody else is doing, while still being that recognizable story that's attracting them to it.
It's the comfort story,
right? It's like, yeah, well, that's, yeah, it's like,
it's exactly what it is. It's the comfort story. A tale as old as time.
Right, exactly. So it's like, so like originality or not original. Honestly, I think that the whole concept of originality is overrated. It's like people are going to find what they like, and the fact that you are creating it, there's going to be an audience for that, but because you can't be the only person who likes what you're creating. That's when every time I write Egoraven, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I cannot be the only one who wants to see this story. And according to Kickstarter, I have 150 people who want to read that story along with me. Woo-hoo. So, so I can't possibly be that wrong. The thing that I'm trying to do, that I'm trying to figure out, that is like, how do I expand from that 150 people? How do I add more, bring in more people, find the people who would also, be interested, right? It's like right now I'm in a mindset where my goal is just to like concentrate on the people that I have already, finish the books, and then kind of figure out a plan as to how to expand that, right? Because so right now I'm in a different part of the process that I'm not worried about marketing right now.
Right.
So it's all about like centering my story, centering the fans who enjoy the story, and then seeing what happens from there, because another thing is like people go, oh, it's easier. They kind of like hook onto this thing. Like it's easier to gain a new follower than to maintain your old followers, but it's like, right. It's kind of like, but that's like kind of like what companies do when they have like your cable company. It is a lot easier for them to concentrate on getting new customers than maintaining the customer base they have already. Right. But it's like, we're not cable companies.
Nope.
It's like, I'm not selling a mousetrap. I'm selling a long form story. And it's that base of people who were with me from the beginning that's more important to me right now.
Right.
Is giving this base that they came in for, giving them what they want. And that is the story that I'm telling, the completed story that I'm telling. Everybody else after that, they can come in. I can get them after the story is finished. It's like, so I'm not worrying about that now. But I'm also not worried about, oh, well, somebody else is coming out with a fantasy book. Someone else is coming out with a book that has a unicorn girl in it. It has nothing to do with me.
Right.
That's like, okay, they're telling that story differently.
Right.
And it's like, and mind you, if somebody did come out with a book with another unicorn girl in it, most likely I'd be buying that book too. So so it's like, where everybody else wants to like see all of this, like really in the end, what they're upset about is that they don't have a loving fandom. That's like, they don't have, they don't have the audience that is showering them with praises and money. And, and it's like, oh, I still have to work for this. And I go, yeah, you still have to work for this. Sorry, not sorry. That's kind of how it goes. So yeah, so it's like, so I like to consider my fantasy book in the sea of fantasy books just another cake for people to enjoy. Like I said, the word oversaturation, it doesn't mean anything when you actually condense it, but when you actually critically think about it. And like I said, I think a lot of these business marketing words that everybody likes to throw around, it's more to deflect rather than to explain what's happening. It's easier to say the market's oversaturated than say I haven't found an audience that's resonated with my work yet.
Right.
People don't.
I love that fucking bird.
Well, for those of you joining us, I'm sharing. I share the office with a parrot, and sometimes he does that.
Sounds like an old man hacking up, an old smoker walking out on the porch with his first cup of coffee.
Exactly. So another thing, so talking about, so like I said, I did finish issue 12 of Egoraven finally. I did send it off to my printer. I just got it. I don't know if I should bother to text him today, because if he's in the office today, I'll be shocked. So I did finish it. I did do an initial proof book for myself. And it's at the printer, so hopefully I'll be able to get my copies probably next week, hopefully. So yeah, so it's like, so now I have like 4 more issues left. And so last week, or at least like last week. So I've just been like, after I finished the book, I've just been spending the entire week doing like admin stuff. It's like brain numbing stuff, setting up files, getting files ready, graphics, playing around with converting my trailer video for Egoraven into a vertical. I was playing around with that. And an interesting thing. So when I usually put my trailer on, my YouTube channel, and usually gets like, I don't know, like 12 views or something, like pretty, it's modest, it's not like, but when I redid the trailer specifically for vertical and like put it up as a short and put it up as a reel, the short on YouTube got like around like 500 views. And even the reel that I put on Facebook got like around like 50 views, when by itself, like just putting it like a regular video up, it really doesn't, like, the traction's not there, but doing it in vertical, like, oh, that's interesting.
Right.
And it's like, it just kind of like makes me go, it's like, okay, what else can I do with the vertical? Like, what is it with people like, is that like something that I'm kind of like maybe missing out on, that it's like, are people like the vertical is like maybe like a completely different audience. So maybe if I like do certain reels and shorts, that maybe that'll get more traction than my regular. So this is something that I was like playing around with this week that I thought was interesting. Like even just doing the vertical of the vlog. We get significantly more views on the vertical than on like this regular horizontal. I guess more people are watching this on their phones than they are watching this on their TV. That's what I'm interpreting it, right? The same thing with doing shorts, that I take clips from the show and I put it up, and they seem to be doing pretty well too. Now, what this all ends up doing, I don't know. But I don't know. It's like, it's kind of like, for me, in the end, it's like it's finding those like low effort admin things to do that seem to get attention. But after spending a whole week doing that, right? So I went back to working on the Egoraven novelization, which, eventually, once I get all 16 chapters done, which corresponds to the 16 issues, I'll be putting out that novel as well. And again, like I said, it's like, am I concerned that, there's so many fantasy books out there? It's like, no, I'm not. It's like, I'm writing this book and I'm putting it out, and because that's the story I want to tell. That's the story I'm putting out. And the fact that there are other people putting out fantasy novels and fantasy books, that has no concern for me. All it tells me is that there is a large audience for that stuff. It's just getting my stuff in front of those eyes. Right?
Right.
It's like, really, also, you go into a bookstore, nobody says, oh, this is oversaturated. There's too many books for me to look at. It's like, nobody says that. I mean, it's just, I just like, I don't know. It's like, I just can't get over, like, just like I said, when you really break down the word, it makes no sense whatsoever, because it's like, in the end, if all you're bitching about is that you're not the only one doing this, that you're and everybody is being distracted, it's like, that's like I said, that's on you. That's a you problem. That
it
you
is.
have
It's
to
the whole
figure out.
asshole room theory.
Right.
If everybody's an asshole in every room you walk in,
right? Then guess what? Right. Yeah. And like I said, especially if you're not specifically catering to market, then you can't concern yourself with the people who are doing that. If you know that Kickstarter has a specific environment, right? You have to know where you fit in that. And not only that, you have to accept where you fit in that. And then you have to work accordingly if that's not where you want to be. I mean, it's like, look, this is something that I've been thinking about, like, like especially for the past 5 years, you know, because it's like when we were just printing comics and going to conventions, I don't know, shit just seemed a little easier. like we really didn't like find ourselves thinking that way, you know. But it's like now it's like, okay, the secret sauce is finding your audience. If you have an audience that is dedicated to buying your stuff, it doesn't matter where everything else doesn't matter. Like, it really is funny to realize how much a dedicated audience, you know, the 1,000 true fans, or honestly, it's even less than that. If you had 500 people, 400, 500 people supporting your Kickstarter every time you put one out, you're golden. You know, like really, like all you have to do is look at the really, like the numbers wise, right? The really successful Kickstarters and see really just how many people it takes to have a successful campaign. And you realize that you really don't need that many. Now, granted, you know, it's like, it's a combination of how many backers you have and how much money are they willing to spend on you. Because you can have 100 backers, but if they're willing to spend several $100s on you each time, you don't need to worry about that. You know, it's like, so it's like if you can get less people to spend more money, that's just as much of a strategy as getting more people to pledge to your campaigns on an average level. You know, I can't help but still think about this other comic book campaign that's like, look, I'm only mentioning it as, you know, like as an example, not, it's like, yeah, am I still
this is not promotion.
Well, it's like, I am still a little salty about it, but there's no reason for me to be salty about it because I understand, logically, I understand what's going on here. But, you know, we're still creators. We're still like going, what the fuck? You know, it's like, why are they having this success and I'm not, you know, type of thing. We all go through that moments, but you know what? We have to be adults about it. And we kind of have to move past that very childish knee-jerk reaction to other people's success, right? Why are they successful? And it's like, you know what? Good for them. Good for them. It means that they have an audience that will buy anything that they put out. Right? So hold on. Actually, let me look at their stuff on KickTrack. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Wet and Wetter, right? So this is so a couple.
That's it. That's it. It's the title.
That's it.
It's all in the title.
It's all in the title.
I'm going to back that shit right now.
You know, and it's an adult comic set. 2 20-page comics, right? Written by 2 prominent monster smut authors, right? So we're not even talking about comic book people. They just happen to do a comic, right? The 2 comics, 2 20-page comics, the set alone starts at $75. Now, I know I've spoken about this where it's like, if we were to do that shit, we would be laughed out, you know, like, what the fuck are you doing, right? But they don't have to care about that. These people are not looking at comics as a whole and going, well, this is what they do. They're looking at their audience and going, this is what my audience wants and will pay for. What comics as a whole is doing is completely irrelevant to them. Do you think they sat back and said, oh, well, the adult comics section is really oversaturated?
It is.
They never said that. They don't give a shit about, they don't give a shit about all the, you know, about Pat Shand and Heartso, and they don't give a shit. They don't know them. They don't care. They just know Our audience wants to see a comics of our characters fucking, and they will pay premium for that. That's our audience. That's who we're catering to. And because of that, their Kickstarter is currently at $62,000. People who have nothing to do with comics, they don't know what comics are. I don't even know if their comics are any good, right? But that's irrelevant. You know, they're not doing comics. They're selling.
They're wet and wetter, of course.
They're selling their product to their very dedicated audience who's willing to spend money on it. You know, everything else is irrelevant. Right?
Right.
So that's kind of like, I think that, yeah, once you have your audience, all of this doesn't matter. The marketing doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Because once you have an audience that'll buy anything you put out, you don't have to do anything.
Right.
You know, it's like I said, the only reason Coke buys advertising still is for the sole reason that keeping advertising expensive keeps competitors out of the market. It has nothing to do with selling their product. It has nothing to do
doing it in the cheapest way possible with their AI bullshit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like it has nothing to do with their product. It has everything to do with intimidating competitors out of the advertising market. So even to say, well, Coke still buys advertising, they're not buying advertising for what you think they are. You know, so there's there's also saying, oh, I only study successful people and blah blah blah, and it's like, and that's kind of also the danger of doing that, because you're not really seeing the whole picture of what's going on.
What made them successful?
You're comparing yourself without knowing what the full picture is, and then you're getting frustrated with yourself because, well, how come I'm not having those results? And then you say stupid shit like, oh, it's because the market's oversaturated, right? Because you don't know what the real answer is. It's really just copium. You know, marketing speech is really just copium. That's really what it is. It's like you say shit like, oh, and this, well, my funnel and blah, 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 and, you know, oversaturation and activations. It's like it's meaningless jargon to make you feel better about your inability to translate partial information into something you can actually take advantage of. You know? So that was something when I gave up on the whole marketing thing. That's the thing that I kind of like realized, that it's like, you know, I really have to let this go. You know, that it's like, you know, it's like, it's a more important, like my whole thing, my goal is to finish my book, to finish my story, to finish my novelization. Oh, something going back to Game of Thrones though. So, you know, because like I said, the thing that kind of like puts me off to Game of Thrones is the fact that it's such a bleak and hopeless series. You know, maybe the books are different. I don't know. But it's like, but that's certainly what, you know, what the showrunners really wanted to push, you know, in this series, that it's bleak and hopeless. Everyone's shitty, you know, and, you know, and that's pretty much it. And I can't handle that. Like I really do have a problem with that. It's like I'm fed up with dystopias. I'm fed up with, you know, there's nothing you can do. Everything's hopeless. It's like, look, we just live and then we die until we die and that's it, right? And it's like, no, it's like, I refuse. You know, I want, you know, it's like, you know, it's like I'm kind of like feeling like Boromir when he's, you know, it's like he's talking about, oh, we're fighting for love and beauty, you know, and it's like, you know, that type of thing. Like I'm feeling like that scene, and it's like, and that's what I want to see. You know, I want to see hope. I want to see beauty. I want to see, you know, the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, now don't get me wrong. Because another genre that really irritates the shit out of me is cozy is cozy fantasy, where pretty much it's all kumbaya, very low
Let's
stakes,
snuggle in
nothing
front of the
happens.
fire.
Right. And it's just like, let's snuggle, and it's like, oh, it's, you know, something happens, but it's really it's not, you know, it's not really that, you know, like I said, very, very low stakes. And that's kind of like the opposite. I think that's for me, that type of storytelling is another form of copium, where it's like you're just so overwhelmed with the negativity in the world that you just want to go straight to, like, you know, like, oh, nothing is happening. Right. And that's not the type of story that I like. I think that that's why Lord of the Rings resonates so much with me, because it's like someone had explained how J.R.R. Tolkien wanted to show how evil things can happen in the world, but it's the little good things that we do that add up that get us to the other side.
Right.
You know, and it's like, yes, does the world change? Does, you know, it you know, things are not the way they used to be. No, it's like, yeah, that's what happens, but we still made it to the other side. And the only way we were able to do that was to see ourselves on the other side. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, yeah, it's like things are shitty, but I'm doing the best I can. You know, it's like, you know, it's like Frodo didn't even know what he was doing. He didn't even know what he was getting himself into. He just knew he was the one that had to take the ring. You know, and it was literally come hell or come high water, right? With Mordor, it's just literally, you know, he just knew he had to do it because it was the right thing to do.
Right.
You know, and Sam followed because it was the right thing to do. You know, so yeah, so it's like, I would rather, you know, and it's like, yeah, some of the most enduring stories in history are people doing good things in shitty times. Right. You know, so, you know, in Game of Thrones, what did I get? I get fucking fail son Jon Snow. stupidest asshole in the series who just failed forward, you know? You know, forward. It's like that motherfucker was running on luck the entire time. You know, it's like he was like beyond charmed, because it's like there was nothing about it. It's like, you should have been dead.
Jon Snow is the biggest Mary Sue ever.
Yeah. Whose Mary Sue is that? Who's the showrunner who did this? You know, it's like, stupidest motherfucker. Just like there was this scene in.
You're right. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yeah. There's this scene that I think this was the most visceral scene that I felt in the entire series. You know, I think it was, I don't remember if it was like before the long night, but it was just leading up to it, where Jon Snow realizes he's a Targaryen and he can fly those dragons, right? And I guess like they had their initial victory, you know, over the Night King or whatever the fuck, right? I don't quite remember, right? So they're back in Winterfell, right? Is it Winterfell? Right. They're back there. They're having their feast, and everybody is like talking about how Jon Snow saved the day, and Daenerys is sitting at the table seething. Her fucking dragons. It was her fucking dragons. She was the one who brought them there, right? And this stupid motherfucker who lucked out is getting all the fucking credit.
Yeah.
Oh, I felt that. I felt that. You know? And, you know, and it's just like, no, I can't. Oh, so I was writing the novelization for Egoraven for chapter 12, which corresponds with issue 12. And, you know, and it's like, and I used the novelization to add in extra scenes and dialogue that would have bogged down the comic, because again, you're talking about like two different mediums. So what works in the comic, so it's like what works in a novel is not going to work in a comic. So doing this comic, although I'm working in reverse, I'm taking the comic and then reverse engineering the novelization. But still, though, there's always been scenes that I had to judiciously remove from the comic because it's like, oh, it's not going to work. And especially the further that I get along in the comic, I've been adjusting the dialogue to kind of like, not to dumb it down, but to condense it so that the story flows faster, it flows better, and it flows more clearly, because that's what a comic requires, as opposed to a novel where you can kind of add more stuff into it. So I'm in this scene. I'm in this scene. Spoiler, not spoil. I'm not spoiling it, but it is in issue 12. And there's this dialogue between two characters at the end that leads up to the final scene in the book. And I wrote it in a way that it's like, I wanted to like, kind of like really give a sense of like gravitas to the situation, where it's like, this character is trying to explain, well, not really explaining, but kind of like demanding their position be heard, like by weaponizing trauma, essentially. And I wrote the scene, and then it's like the scene was bugging me for like the past couple of days. And then it's like I realized that it's like, you know what? I crossed that threshold that I had, where it's like, I found that the scene became unnecessarily dark. Like I kind of went a little too Game of Thrones when I really wanted more Witcher and Lord of the Rings. And, and there's already enough dark shit in the series, but it's very contextual. And this one just felt like I was just shoehorning in something nasty for the sake of putting it in there, not necessarily that it belonged there. And it really did bother me. So I ended up going back and rewriting it and taking out a lot of that. Actually, it's just a couple of lines, right? That, because really that's all it takes. It's just a couple of lines to kind of like really ruin a scene. Right. And when I took those out and rewrote it, then it was just like, okay, now it flows better. Because the thing that was talked about, even though it does happen in the lore, which is where it actually was something that I put in to reference another novel that I'm working on, the five dragons story. It was supposed to be a reference to that, but the reference was so heavy. It's like, you know what? I don't need to connect the book that badly, that it kind of like ruins the mood of what I'm trying to do in the overall Egoraven story.
Right.
So it was just really funny having that moment of realization that it's like, oh, I went overboard. And I think that the showrunners on Game of Thrones, because that they were so desperate to circumvent people speculating about how the story was going to end, that they kept crossing that line, going overboard with the story to the point where it pretty much just alienated a lot of people. And I mean, it definitely alienated me, because it's like, I'm trying to like this story and they're just making it worse and worse and worse. Because also, they were going for the shock value of it as well. And I didn't want that to be in my book, but I guess I had kind of like strangely internalized that thing that they do. So so like I said, luckily I was able to recognize it, within like a couple of hours of me writing it, that it's like, that I thought that it's like, oh, it's like, this is a big reveal. And then I'm like going, oh, this is too much of a reveal. This is too much. This is like, it literally came off as just shock value rather than saying something actually important. So like I said, I rewrote the whole scene. So now it works better. It's a lot more, well, it's like, yeah, it's not as overt. But it works a lot better. And then like in the end, when I finally get to the 5 Dragons novel, I'll worry about that tone there, because the 5 Dragons book is a little bit more darker. But I'll worry about it there than trying to like shoehorn it into Egoraven because I wanted the books to connect. I already have the books connecting in a subtle way. I don't need to be like blaring like that. So so that was kind of like the weird thing that I came across working on the novelization that kind of stood out for me. So I mean, but it does, but it, like I said, it that does reflect like the tone that I'm looking for in fantasy as a genre, as opposed to, it's like, oh, it's all fantasy, so it's all good. Just like with all my smut novels, look, I've found authors. I finally read enough of these books to find authors I will not be buying from again. Even though they're writing what I want to read, they're not doing it at a skill level that actually is enjoyable for me. So, so at least, but because
Jody.
Oh, hey. So even though there's like so many authors in that genre, it's because there's so many authors in that genre that I'm able to actually write off certain authors and move on to other ones.
Right.
So again, it's like oversaturation. There is no oversaturation to me as a fan. I will always find something that I want to read because the choices are there. I appreciate the choices, but as a creator, oversaturation has nothing to do with me. That's not what I'm concerned about. It's like the fact that other people are writing fantasy stories doesn't mean anything to me. I'm writing my version of a fantasy story. That in and of itself makes it stand out on its own. Now, finding enough people for it to be sustainable is a whole other issue. But like I said, I already have my little garden on Kickstarter, already growing. So all I have to do is just continue my commitment to my project, right? Oh, which kind of leads to another thought that I think part of the problem that a lot of these creators who, like I said, hide behind these marketing buzzwords or whatnot, it's Baskin Robbins, variety is good, but what you like is what you like. Right. Yeah. It's like, look, yeah, I appreciate that Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors, right? But it before I realized I was lactose intolerant, mint chocolate chip was my jam. Like 31 flavors, but that's the one I wanted. Nobody ever said that. Baskin
except
Robbins
for period week.
Oh,
period week, it was that dark chocolate with the chocolate chunks.
That's true, right? It's the dark chocolate that, yeah. It's the magnesium.
Yes.
It's the magnesium calling. But look at, now mind you, there's a difference between, now it's not like a company like Funko where people say that they've oversaturated their market, right?
Right.
Because, but again, we're not selling Funko Pops. So even that doesn't mean anything to us. You know, it's like, oh, but my point, the point that I was trying to get is that a lot of I think like the reason why a lot of these creators hide behind buzzwords as well is that, you know, and they're having problems finding their audience is because they're probably, and mind you, this is not everybody, but I'm speaking generally, so I always feel irritated that I have to like explain myself when I'm speaking generally, that if this doesn't apply to you, I'm not talking about you. You know, I'm speaking generally. Please, people have, you know, context, understand the concept of context in a conversation. Is that there are people who are having problems building their audience because they're having problems showing their commitment to the project. Which is kind of like a whole different issue. And it is, you know, and it is technically a different topic. Just really quick though, it just reminded, like, there was an issue in traditional publishing where these romantasy authors were complaining that people were saying that we're tired of unfinished series. So if you put out a first volume of a series, I'm not going to invest in that first volume until you're done. But then the same authors would go, well, if you don't support my first volume, I don't have the support to finish the rest of it. Right? So it creates this weird loop where it's like, well, I can't commit to, I want to do my series, but I can't commit without the support. But then the audience is like going, well, I've been burned way too many times before, so I'm not going to support you until I see you have a commitment to complete to your series.
Right.
You know, and you know, and I really do think that that's kind of a part of it. And that's why, like, right now, that's where mentally I am, that I want to like really double down on the commitment that I have to doing Egoraven, and, you know, like really like catering to the audience that committed to me for that commitment. You know, that they're going to get 16 full issues of a 16 issue series in a reasonable amount of time. That pretty much by 2027, I'll be done with Egoraven, you know, that they will have all 16 issues, you know, pretty much. You know, so they know by sticking with me, they know they're getting the end of this story arc. And that's where, you know, and that's where I find myself, that it's more important for me to do that than to like wonder, how am I going to get new people into this?
Right.
You know, it's like, you know what? New people, I can always get anywhere. I can always get later. You know, it took me this long to get the people that I have now. I can get new people later, you know, after the series is finished. You know, right now, this is, you know, this is what I'm doing. But yeah, but it's like to think about like, well, but what about the other people doing fantasy books and this, that, and the other thing? And it's like, look, just like with me as a consumer of that genre, right? There are certain things that I'll support, and there are certain things that I won't support. Just like the whole thing, you know, that I said that a pet peeve of mine is people who base their fantasy comics on their role playing games. You know, you know, it's like, oh, we had this campaign and it was really fun, so let's do it as a comic. But it's like, no, two different things. You know, and whenever somebody says I based my comic on my role playing game, that's a red flag for me, because to me, the way I understand that, they're thinking, oh, we had fun with our role-playing game, it would make a great comic.
Right.
What I'm thinking is that this is a story that's going nowhere. This is a story that's just one never-ending, you know, quest that doesn't go anywhere, because that's a role-playing game thing. You know, it's like you're just playing, you're hanging out, you're just like, you know, you're defeating the dragon, you go from one quest after another because that's the game. But it doesn't really, most of the time, it doesn't really translate into a proper narrative to justify a comic. So that's why when somebody says that, I'm like, okay, 99.9%, I don't have to worry about this comic. But there's this other comic I can get instead.
Right.
You know, again, it's like I have choices. You know, the more people who do fantasy books, the more choices I have to find the books that I actually want to read. So, you know, so it's like, so yeah, so you're not going to hear the word oversaturation from me because it's not oversaturated. Just like people say that, oh, the TNA cover thing is oversaturated, but it's like, yeah, but people still buy them.
They still spending the monies.
They're still buying them. So, Jody, it's like the hard lesson I learned. I'd stopped crowdfunding for the last 2 years because I had to realize that my audience doesn't purchase from there, and I'm not attracting consumers on those platforms. That's a whole other issue too. It doesn't mean I won't go back to use them, but for now I have to stay the course with my current audience. Exactly. You know, and it's like, at what point, you know, do you realize that Kickstarter for you may just be, it's like, well, I'm making a little bit of money and maybe I can gain a couple of followers, but I'm not going to be, you know, there's a limit to what I can do on Kickstarter. Right? That it's like, okay, like this is not the environment for me. Maybe, you know, like, oh, I sell more at conventions. Well, so there you go. So that's going to be, so, you know, so it's like, so maybe you have, you know, people have to kind of like sometimes look at, well, this is how all my campaigns do. You know, it's very average, very, you know, I make $2,000 or whatever. And it's like, this is where I'm never going to have a $10,000 campaign, you know? Right. And it's like, you either have to decide that Kickstarter is just there as another way to get your book out, you know, but it's just going to be just extra money. You know, you're not going to be Polito. You're not going to be Pat Shand, you know, and it is funny to hear even myself. I keep forgetting Polito's not on Kickstarter anymore, right. But people still mention him like he is. You know, you're not going to be Pat Shand, you know, so it's like, so if you're not going to be Pat Shand and you're not going to do what Pat Shand does, or Everett Hartsoe, or whoever the fuck is on that middle ground, you know, because if you're not doing Transformers, you're not making $1 million on Kickstarter, you know? So, you know, so if you're not doing that type of book, why are you worried about what they're doing? You know, it's like Pat Shand, like it's like, yeah, if I'm doing a fantasy book that's not wall-to-wall pornography, Pat Shand doesn't mean anything to me.
Right.
Right. And mind you, even
if
you
are, it doesn't matter.
When I was doing Medieval Unicorn Viking Slut, I wasn't thinking about Pat Shand at all. I wasn't thinking about those people at all. Although I did went overboard with the variant covers, but you know, that was a hard lesson to learn. And don't use the word slut in your in
oh yeah.
But those are my main lessons. But I wasn't thinking about them at all. You know, I was thinking about this book that I found funny, that I thought was funny. Let me take all the lessons that I learned from everybody running their mouths and seeing if I could manufacture a $10,000 campaign. It didn't happen, but in the end, I learned, oh, hello, Nicholas. It's like, but I learned a lot of interesting lessons that I still keep in the back of my head, you know, and it also made me look at other places that I wasn't even thinking about until I did that book, which now may be, you know, which once I finish the series, I might be looking there a little bit more, you know, that it's like, you know what, maybe my audience isn't like, not exactly in this comic space, maybe my audience is potentially someplace else. And, you know, and I have to think about that. And that's what other people have to think about too, that maybe your audience is not where you think it is. But because you're so like this, you're not, you know, you're so concerned about Kickstarter. You're so concerned about the TNA books. You're so concerned about, you know, it's like that you're not paying attention to where your audience might actually be. So that's, I mean, you know, so that's where I'm pretty much going to end my thoughts on that, you know, before we, you know. Oh, so any final thought, any thoughts?
I'm just here today.
Right.
I'm here.
Right. Okay. You know, which is always a pleasure to have you here. Cause I think I did the last show I did by myself, and cause you were at the dentist with your daughters, and I was just like, you know, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like doing the show by myself is not the same.
Oh, I love you too.
Yeah. I wish you were here to help me shovel, though.
Fuck you. I'm glad I'm not.
Yeah,
no.
so it's like, yeah,
those pictures you showed me of the backyard, I was like, oh hell no.
Yeah, like I said, we're probably gonna have to like take out the electric shovel for that, you know, because it's like, yeah, it's a lot.
My nuts crawled up inside and my nipples got erect, both of them simultaneously.
Yeah, because like in the front we have like these steps. They're gone. They're completely buried.
No, yeah, no.
It just looks like yeah, it's like those steps are completely buried. Like we're gonna have to like dig out everything.
No, thank
So
you.
that's what I have to look forward to after the show's over.
I'm so sorry for you.
Well, you know, hey, it's our penance. You know?
I'm gonna get high and post it on Facebook and then probably take a nap.
There you go. So I want to thank everybody hanging out with us in the chat, all the new people and the old people and the returning people. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I also want to thank all the beautiful eyeball people watching us from regions beyond. Like I said, if you want to hang out with us more, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live.
Bad.
Oh, you scared me there. Yeah, it's not an actual overlay. It's annoying. There we go. So, if you want to learn more about me and my artwork and everything else, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can read Egoraven, Heir of the First Unicorn for free. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales, TAILSonline.com, and read the archive there. And also, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter by clicking the QR code. You can click.
I'm trying.
There we go. You click the QR code on the screen here. You sign up for my newsletter where you can keep up to date with all of my new art, sketchbooks, comics, Kickstarters, and get a free PDF comics bundle just for joining. You get to read Egoraven for free, Tall Tales for free, and you get to try out the Oswald Chronicles for free. So also remember that Egoraven issue 12 is on Kickstarter on pre-launch right now. Link is in the chat and in the show notes. So thank you so much for joining us today. You could be anywhere else listening to anybody else, but you decide to spend that time with us. And we appreciate every single one of you.
And if you stayed, we strongly recommend therapy.
Well, that's for all of us, really. Oh, you notice somebody commented that they tried to be snarky on one of my reels, right? They go, oh, it sounds like you need therapy. And I typed in, Monster Smut books are cheaper. So there you have it. So thank you so much again. And in the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work. Because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. So, Nita, hit the Make sure you hit the trailer for Egoraven, and we are out. Thank you so much again, and see you next time.
Bye.